Happy Tuesday, Flosstube. Hello, crafty friends. It is Tuesday, September the 8th, and it is a really gray, rainy day outside. So I've got the lights on in here, so the lighting is not going to be great today. However, we will do with what we have. My name's Caroline. Welcome back. It's going to be a cottage hair day today. Oh well. So I have some crafty things to share with you today. I had a very nice, relaxing afternoon and evening last night. Just very quiet. Had a nice dinner with my father-in-law. He has gotten very good over the last couple of years at making the salad to go with our meal. So he's usually in charge of making a fresh salad. He brings that over for dinner, and then we all share that together as a family, along with the main that I or John make for dinner. So he brought his salad last night, and we had a little chat. He's gone into town this morning for a few groceries, so I will have a brand new bag of milk coming my way. I have been rationing my milk over the last couple of days. In fact, once again, the kids were told that they couldn't have cereal the day or two before they left. Yes, just a little refresher. We buy our milk in bags where I live here in Ontario. And I do not have a freezer in my cottage, so I don't have the ability to freeze milk. I also don't like powdered milk. I don't like creamer. If I run out of fresh milk, I will, maybe not happily, but I will drink my coffee black, and I don't mind it like that. So, but having a plenteous supply of milk, knowing that it's there in my fridge, makes me feel quite wealthy. So it's just one of those funny things. So he's gone into town to run a few errands this morning, and we'll be bringing back some milk and bananas and a few other things. So last night I worked on, Luna's getting herself settled here. I worked on my Christmas sock. So I'm still working on my gusset decreases. For myself, when I knit socks, I've only knit for myself and for my father-in-law, I guess. I make a really long heel flap, probably a little bit longer than other people would, because I have quite a high arch in my foot. And so when I make my heel flap just a little bit longer, it means that I have some more stitches to work with in my gusset decrease, which gives me some extra height over the saddle of my foot. So the socks tend to fit me a little bit better if I just have that slightly longer heel flap. So this is what's known as a slip stitch heel flap, and it's pretty standard. I use the super simple sock pattern from my friend Louise Patterson, who wrote the pattern, and I have on deck, my next sock that I would like to try, not with a self-striping yarn, but with, I was going to use those 2 balls of plain gray that are actually in the bin that you're sitting on to visit with me today, but I have some other yarn that I think would work better for Lorraine, LNS Crafts. I've mentioned her here before, her YouTube channel, LNS Crafts. Her sock pattern, the biscuit socks, I think I'm going to cast on that yarn that I bought from Polka Dot Creek, that really, really, really pretty, subtle, sort of coffee colored yarn with the, I'll show you that tomorrow. It seems like every day I say, I'll show you that yarn tomorrow, because it's not right here in front of me. And anyway, yesterday I said I would show you my other self-striping, remember, from Timber Yarns that I bought as a birthday present. So I made sure I found it. It was in this project bag that was up there, and this was the yarn that I splurged on for myself for a little birthday present for myself. So it's called Gerber, and it's from Timber Yarns, and they are a local yarn dyer to me here in Ontario. And there's their tag there. And this is, so yeah, timberyarns.com, and they make, Heather, the dyer, she does really, really beautiful self-striping yarn. And I have a few, I have 2 of her skeins of yarn, and I think I need to cake one up and cast it on. So this is kind of my carrot in front of my nose. But I also want to have a more muted colored sock on the needles, because I still have my Fruity Pebbles sock that's really colorful. This is really bright and colorful, and I like that. I love that as we head into fall and winter, having these sort of bright, cheerful colors on my needles for small projects is really, really nice, because, well, it's cheerful. It's just cheerful. But I also really like to wear, you know, more traditionally colored socks throughout the winter. So, you know, bright and cheerful in the summer I like to wear, but knit them in the winter. But the more muted colors, I like to wear those throughout the winter with everything. So I'll show you that yarn tomorrow. It's from Polka Dot Creek. I have shown it before, but in case you don't remember, I'll share it again. But I think that yarn would work really well for the biscuit sock pattern, which is just like Lorraine describes it as like a vanilla style pattern with a little bit of a twist to it. So I'm looking forward to trying that. But I am going to finish this sock first so that I have a pair. So I've done a couple of stripes since I showed it to you a couple of days ago. So I pick away at it here and there, knit a row, do a decrease. The other thing that I brought to show, again, that I said yesterday I'd show you today, and I remembered. Remember my Glendon Place? I've only put a couple of lengths of thread into my Glendon Place Hope and Strength stitch along, so I'm not going to show it again today. I'll show it in a few days when I have a little more progress. Sorry for the crinkling here. So I mentioned that there were some beads, and there's also this really sparkly, it's a rainbow gallery, and this is in the border. So this is the Petite Silk Lame braid. Look at that color. Look at that color. It is just so beautiful. That blue, and it's just bright, and just, it's not like hit you in the face sparkly, but just sparkly enough. So you can just see that that being in the border would just catch your eye. So it's really beautiful. So Silk Lame, let's get that to focus there. There we go. Silk Lame braid. And that color is fairly true. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. So yeah, I put a couple of lengths of thread into that last night, and I did a few rounds on my sock, and then I got to my, oh, I also put a length of floss into my my Colors of Venice as well. And again, I'll share it in a couple of days when there's a little bit more. But I put in a little bit more time into my Martin Luther King sampler. So I finished the words on the bottom. The time is always right to do what is right. And then I'm almost done the vine border that's over top. Now, you'd never know it, but I'm going to point it out. This whole line of words, I didn't realize until I got over to the T here, it's off by 1 hole. It is 1 hole too low. Actually, I didn't even notice it until I went to load my floss in to start this row here, because I thought, why is that off? And then I realized what I'd done. So this whole row of words is 1 hole too low, but I'm never gonna rip that out and fix that. No one would know. So, oh, and I finished off the floss that was at the back of the project up there. So sorry, the light is catching me in a funny way there. It's going completely, yeah, that's a bit better. Yeah, So I'll finish this off tonight, and then I want to start that flower pot, and then I will probably just go ahead and finish the border just to get that done. Love that color. So remember I was talking about that color floss, that's bandana. And the few skeins that I have in my stash are old stash, so they were still Crescent Colors, which is now Classic Colorworks, and I believe you can still buy bandana. It's still that beautiful, beautiful magenta, burgundy color. And then, so I was talking about how that's my all-time favorite color ever in the whole wide world. And then I was also talking about Au Ver Soie, the silk thread, and I mentioned that I had always called it Soie d'Alger, and what was the difference? Well, several of you very kindly wrote to me in the comment section, and so my understanding now is that Au Ver Soie is the name of the company, the French company, and the Soie d'Alger is one of the types of silk that they produce, one of the lines of silk. So very interesting. And I'll tell you, I know exactly now why I have always called it Soie d'Alger. And it's a bit of a special little story because it has to do with the very, very first little bit of silk that I ever purchased. And I actually have it here with me today. So trust me, everything's going to come around in a little circle because when you see the color, you'll know why. The very, very first little teeny tiny bit of silk that I purchased to try was this little bag of Soie d'Alger. And all it says on the package is Soie d'Alger. So if I can get that to focus, there we go. You see that? I purchased this from my then at the time local needlework shop, Thread and Eye, which has since closed. Look at that beautiful, beautiful color. You know exactly why I bought it. I just had to have it. And it was such a little treat. I thought I had never purchased silk floss. And I thought, what am I going to do with it? And I thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to do anything with it. I don't care. I just want to have it in my stash. Because that color is just me. That color is me in silk floss. I love it. And so probably on, you know, Kathy and Neil know their stuff. I suspect on the outside of where they were selling these little packets of beauty, it probably said Au Ver Soie, and then just the individual packages were labeled with what type of floss it was, and I would never have known the difference. So this was the very first floss, silk floss that I ever bought, and I have used a little bit of it in, was a scissor tail design that I finished last year. Some of you might remember it was a snowman design, and it said Mary, Mary, Mary. And the chart had the 3 words, Mary, Mary, Mary. They were charted all in white, and I changed the middle one to red, and I used my special silk floss. And that wasn't my idea. It was actually Neil who had stitched that as a shop model, and he had done that, and I like to follow along when I see a good idea, so I did the same thing, and I used just a little bit of this in that project. So it's these things, they hold memories for us, don't they? So this actually lives in the bin as well that you're sitting on. This is full of little treats and trinkets that I actually don't take home usually in the winter. This has been up here for a few years now, so it was here waiting for me when I was ready to stitch that snowman design. Okay, so I shared my Stone Street Stitchworks piece, the Martin Luther King sampler. My goal is to finish this up as soon as possible because I want it done because I'd like to finish it, fully finish it. But I have a couple of new starts coming up in October, and I'd like to at least have some substantial progress on a few other things first before I start all the things. Okay, so now the other thing that I got up to last night and this morning, it is cold here. I mean, cold is relative, right? It's not Canadian cold yet, but it is the end of summer into fall, you know, that first taste of, oh, it's cool. I need to put on a, you know, sweater, and socks and slippers and maybe think about, am I going to have to start up the wood stove soon? I'm not sure. But it is, it's a little bit frosty. Not frosty, it's not, there's no frost. It's about 13 degrees Celsius at the moment. And so I thought it was the perfect time to get out Sarah's Afghan and get back to work at Sarah's Afghan. So that's what I did last night. And I probably made a huge mistake in the row that so I knit half of a row, and the rows are not short. Now it's not a bed-sized Afghan. It's a large sort of couch throw size. And it's heavily cabled, and I made a tremendous error in the row. I shouldn't have done it last night because the lighting was dim. I wasn't sitting under my bright LED. And I didn't look carefully enough. I didn't read my knitting well enough from what I'd done before, and it'd been a while since I picked this up. So I actually started knitting the wrong row, and then when I realized what I was doing, I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to rip it all out. But I didn't feel like doing it last night. So I tucked it away and I pulled it back out this morning, ripped it back, went to the correct row, restarted knitting that, got almost to the end of the row, and then realized that I'd made an error and had to rip it back out again. So I have knit the same row like 3 times now. However, I have corrected it. It's done. That one row, not the whole blanket. I have a ways to go. And so this is just the perfect project for this weather. I am just so pleased that I've pulled it back out again to work on it because it's just cozy and snug, and I love having it on my lap while I'm working on it. So there you can see, that's the pattern. This is called, in case I didn't say it before, the Talon Throw, and that's T-A-L-O-N, and it's a pattern by Brooklyn Tweed. And that's how much I have done. So, and it is that wide. I know that doesn't give you much of a clue, but let me hold up the stitch pattern nice and close so you can see that. Isn't it gorgeous? So yeah, heavily cabled. Hang on, let me do a better job here. There, that's the center. Well, that's the double, sort of double cable thing. And then you can see it doesn't have the sort of garter pattern in the middle there. And then those other ones on the side. So there, that's better. Isn't it pretty? It's so beautiful. I love it. Okay, so the yarn, this is a, it is Barocco Vintage. So it's an affordable yarn. It's an acrylic wool blend. This will focus, I promise. Eventually, there we go. Barocco Vintage, and the color number is 5106. And I did all the math, and I triple checked the math, and I think I even had Sarah quadruple check my math because my daughter is, she's a math whiz. She really is. And I would never embarrass myself trying to do math in front of her. Not that she would ever say anything, but she's so, it's actually what she's doing in university. So she's a smarty pants in math. So whenever I have a math question, I ask her. Whenever Nicholas needs help with his math homework, we talk to Sarah because Sarah knows what she's doing. So I had Sarah help me with the math to make sure I had enough yarn. I started off with 13 skeins of yarn. So they come like this. When you purchase a skein of yarn like this, if it comes like this, you can't just start knitting. You have to roll it up into a ball or a cake with a special ball winder. And what am I on? I think I'm just finishing off the 3rd or the 4th. I can't remember. I would have to check my ends, but I think I might have woven in a couple ends. But I think, let me just see, because now I'm, whoops, sorry. Now I'm curious. 1, 2, 3. This is the end of my 3rd skein. So I have 10 more to go. And that should do enough. That should be enough to make exactly the correct size of the pattern. I checked my gauge when I had knit across the row, and my measurements were correct for the width. So it should turn out. I should have exactly enough yarn to finish the entire thing. Because, you know, when these projects take a long time, yarn comes, it's like floss. It's like buying, do you remember all the problems with Brethren Blue from, oh, Brethren Blue. Brethren Blue, is that Gentle Arts? I'm pretty sure. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I'm talking off the top of my head here. But you all know Brethren Blue, and we all had so much trouble finding Brethren Blue, and it had something to do with the EPA rules for what was found in the black dye that was used in that in the production of that floss had changed, and so it affected all of the I guess you would call them recipes for the dyes for the floss. And so when the new Brethren Blues came out, they were really wildly different from the old dye lots. Well, that's not all that unusual, really, because dye lots, well, they're a bit of a magical beast. And if you want to make sure that everything is going to look exactly the same, you're going to want to aim to have the same dye lot. So when you buy lots of floss for a project, that's why I tend to always overbuy. I've been caught short a couple of times, and you know, you through the kindness of other stitchers, you can sometimes track down an older dye lot number, but not having to do that is usually the easier way to go about it from the beginning. However, so I wanted to make sure I had enough, even though this is pretty ubiquitous, this color. I think I have one. I knit John a scarf. In fact, this is my 3rd project with this exact same yarn. Isn't that funny? I love this color. And obviously so does Sarah, because she's the one who chose it. I knit John a really beautiful scarf with this yarn. And I also knit another Brooklyn tweed baby blanket pattern. What's it called? Shale. If you're looking for a really great baby blanket pattern, the Brooklyn Tweed Shale, it's S-H-A-L-E, and it's kind of a take on the feather and fan pattern. And it is, I use this exact same yarn. And I have a leftover ball, and when I put that leftover ball next to this, they're almost identical. So if I were to run a little bit short, I wouldn't just add it in. I would probably kind of layer it in, right? So one row of the old, one row of the new, one row of the old, one row of the new. And that way, if there is any difference, slight, very, very slight difference in dye lot, you'd never know. So that would work. Same thing goes for floss. If you're running low on floss, if you start sort of conserving what you have, if you can find something that's a really good match in another brand like Make, or, you know, a DMC floss color that's really, really similar, you can strand it out. So if it's 2 strands, you can use 1 strand of what you're trying to conserve and 1 strand of the color match floss. And if you put them together, that will sometimes, you'll be able to hide a little bit of that slight difference in color. Or if you're stitching 1 thread over 2, you can put the color match color as the bottom leg, and you can use the floss that you're trying to conserve as the top leg. So what you see is what's laying on top, but what's underneath you don't see as much. So you can kind of try and hide that what you're trying to match together a little bit more, and that also helps conserve your floss that you might be starting to run low on. I don't know if that's helpful for anybody, but I have actually used that trick myself. There's another trick that I used with floss, but I can't quite tell you about it until Kimberly has received her smalls exchange that I stitched for her, because I did something in that I thought was actually very clever of myself to do when I did it, but I'll tell you about that another time. Okay, so that's it for me today. I am going to go make another cup of herbal tea. I have been drinking it like crazy this morning because it keeps my hands nice and warm, and it's just a nice drink. And I'm drinking, it's a stash tea that's one of my favorites. I drink it year round. It's called Christmas in Paris. And see, here's the thing with recommending tea. I recommend teas that I love, and some of you will love them, but other people will absolutely hate them. Two in particular come to mind, and in both cases they sent me back. They sent it to me because they knew I would like it. But anyways, Christmas in Paris, it's a tea, it's an herbal tea made by Stash. When I make it, my son and my husband think that it smells absolutely gross. They hate it. So they would never even consider drinking it. I think it smells like an after 8 mint when I smell it. So, you know, some people just have different, but I love herbal tea, and John hates it. So he's not likely to be prone to thinking that it smells very good. Anyways, when I open the packet, it smells like mint and chocolate, and I don't know, I really, really like it. So if you're going to try it, maybe try a small box to make sure that you like it first. And then, I now buy it from Amazon in a box of 100. I think I have it. Yeah, I have my box here. Because John brought it. I ordered it to the house, and he brought it up a couple of weeks ago. So I'm set for my tea. So it looks like that. Anyways, I think it's delicious. There's also Breakfast in Paris. Breakfast in Paris it's an Earl Grey tea, but it has a lavender flavor. And the lavender flavor is not, and scent, it's not shy. So you have to really like Earl Grey with, got a bit of a weird kind of bent to it. I love it, but I can imagine it would be one of those teas that a lot of people would be like, whoa, too much. That one I drink with milk. Yeah, that one's a black tea. But this is an herbal tea. I haven't had the Breakfast in Paris one for quite a while, actually. So now it's making me think about it. The other stash tea that I love is the Red Velvet. That one is delicious. I love that one, the Red Velvet tea. And what else? What other one am I drinking right now? There's my standard President's Choice, which is a Canadian company. They make a tea called Chocolate Chai, which is an herbal tea called Chocolate Chai, and I think it is absolutely delicious. Bob in Nova Scotia does not think it's delicious at all. I also like Celestial Seasonings. They make a lemon zinger that I think is really nice. And what's the other one? Oh, excuse you, Luna. Celestial Seasonings they make a wonderful peppermint tea. I love their peppermint herbal tea. That's one of my favorites. And then Lipton has a line of great herbals as well, and they make one called Warmth, and it has sort of cinnamon, and it's really very fall-like. I am not much of a pumpkin spice kind of person. I don't really love the pumpkin spice drink from Starbucks. That's not really my flavor profile that I love. I am more of a vanilla kind of lover, but I really love sort of the spice of and that kind of the scent of a spice mixture. And so that Warmth tea is really quite good. Anyways, not sure how I got off on that tangent, but there you go. You never know what you're going to get in the Daily Crafty Chat. So yeah, that's it for me today. I'm not going to be doing a lot of sewing either today or tomorrow, which is unfortunate because I have a a fair bit of work to do, but because it's so gray, the batteries, the solar batteries clearly are not being recharged. I've already had to run the generator once today to charge up the batteries because, of course, you know, my fridge, all of the devices, my light for crafting, that's super important. I can't not have that. So, and using the sewing machine, clearly it does, you know, run the batteries on the solar. So I have to keep sewing to a bit of a minimum today. So I have some cutting work planned to do. I have gone through and reorganized the bit of mess that was there from the shop update last time. So I'm getting a bit sorted, and I'm getting ready to start the Christmas kit samples, but I don't have any lining fabric yet. So that has me slightly concerned because I can't really make the samples without the proper lining, and I don't have, I might have something that would work that won't be in the finished, finalized bags, but I'm getting a little concerned. As I'm sure many of you have noticed, getting fabric for cross-stitch supplies even has become a bit of a challenge. Finding fabric and ordering fabric, things are slow and things are taking a while and things are sold out, and it's the same everywhere. So I have my, I purchase my fabric wholesale, and the woman who helps me with this one company, my sales rep with this one company, there is apparently a train arriving next week that has the fabric on it that I need, and so she said she would set it aside. She has the order ready to go. I'm just have both of my fingers crossed that it's the right color, the right shade, because I need sort of a creamy off-white to go as the liner for this bag. And it can't be the natural natural fabric that I love to use that's got that fleck in it, because it's just not quite right for this set. So my plan is, if all goes well, I hope to release the Christmas kit next Friday, the 18th. That's next Friday? Yeah, like, so not this coming Friday, but next Friday, September the 18th. But I'll have more information on that later. I still have a fair bit to do. So, time for tea, and I'll get this video up, and I'll see you tomorrow. Just a reminder, I have not pulled the winners yet for the Jeanette Douglas Blooming Bouquet charts that I have to give away. I have those 3 charts to give away, and I will be doing that tomorrow. So I'm really excited. I need to get those out into the mail to the winners. That's going to be an interesting case for the next month. Shipments both arriving and leaving the island, because everybody's schedule is, because of, you know, school and work and the fall, things are a little bit up in the air. So if you have a bag on pre-order, some of the new fabrics, I will be doing my very best to get it out to you as soon as possible, but it might be a situation where I have to wait an extra 3-4 days, or, you know, even up to a week before I can get it off the island. It's not that it isn't made or ready to go, it's that I can't get it to a place that can ship it. So that's sort of where I'm at. If you ever have any questions at any time about an order that you have in with me, if you haven't had a notice saying that it's shipped and you're wondering where it is, feel free to email me at any time. Caroline@evertote.com. And if I don't reply in a fairly timely manner, chances are that it's maybe been shuffled into my spam folder and I just haven't caught it. So try me again. I do my best to answer. So thank you. Okay, so I am off. I hope you're well. Take care. Have a good day and happy stitching, and I'll see you tomorrow.